If you have feelings for a friend, it can be incredibly tricky to navigate those waters. I'm sure many of us have been in that predicament before, and all of us know that it is not a fun situation to find yourself in. So in this video, I will share some tips that may help you get out of this situation, and I'll also share some tips to help you avoid this situation entirely going forward. So the first thing you're going to want to figure out is how important to you is this friendship. If you suddenly develop feelings for a friend, or even if you've had feelings for that friend for a while, how important is it for you to have them in your life? Because usually being honest and authentic is the way you want to go, but sometimes that can put your friendship at risk. Because if you tell the other person how you feel about them, it often can make things a bit awkward, because now they know that you want more than just friendship from them, and maybe originally they thought that you were only in their life because you cared about them on the level of being a friend. But once they find out that you care about them on this romantic level up here, it can put some pressure on them, or even make it so that they just don't want to be around you because they don't want to deal with the anxiety that they may feel knowing that you want more from them. So how important is having them in your life? Could you find yourself doing well without having that person in your life anymore? Or are they someone that you're incredibly close to, so you want to keep them in your life going forward? Now, the ideal place to get yourself to is one where you are comfortable losing that friend, because that will allow you to be honest and authentic with them. And I often take the stance that it's better to be honest and authentic than to have to hold that back, to hold back your true self. But if you're friends with someone that you want more from, almost any time you're around them, you're going to have to kind of suppress your true self, because the honest, authentic version of you would probably want to tell them how you feel about them, and maybe even hold their hand and, basically escalate romantically with them. But you can't quite do that when they still believe that you're in their life just because you view them as a friend. So you really should take the time to figure out whether or not you can live without them. And if you can't live without them, well, I would almost argue in that case, maybe you don't want to tell them the truth, but I do think it's very valuable to work on yourself enough to be able to have these honest conversations with other people and to accept the consequences of those, which would be, in this case, losing them as a friend, potentially. But there is something here that could work out as well. Things could actually go the way that you want them to. You could be honest with this friend and find out that, hey, they're actually open to the idea of you and them being more than just friends. So honesty is usually the best policy, because at least with it, you get rid of the unknown, which would be not knowing whether or not you could actually pursue something more than just friendship with this person. It also gets rid of the unknown of you not knowing where you stand with them and whether or not things could work out. So if you've decided that you do want to go the route of being honest and authentic, you probably just want to rip that Band-Aid off as soon as possible, but do it in person, just because that's usually the best way to do these kinds of things. So of course you'll want to set aside some time with this person. Don't make a big deal out of it. Don't say something like, oh, we need to talk, and then tell them, because it's just kind of off-putting to do that. It's setting up more pressure than you need to. Instead, you could just tell them the truth. Say, hey, we've been friends for X amount of time, and I would personally like more than that. I have feelings for you, and it's okay if you don't reciprocate those feelings. I just wanted to let you know, because this is something that's been in the back of my mind for a while, and there you go. Now it's out in the open. You want to say something similar to that, but of course do not rehearse any lines or anything. Just be honest and authentic. But you want to make sure you're just expressing your feelings. You're not saying that you want anything from the other person. You're not putting all this pressure on them to say yes or no to you. You're just telling the truth. Just telling them that, hey, you view them as more than a friend. And it's okay if they don't reciprocate that. There you go. Now it's out in the open. You just leave the ball in their court, and know that, in that situation, you may potentially lose them as a friend if they can't handle that, but that's okay. Hopefully you will have figured out whether or not you can handle that, and hopefully you've figured out that you can indeed handle that, because that's the ideal. So that way, if things don't work out, well, you're not going to be completely screwed over in that situation. You'll be able to move on without them, and hopefully find other friends where you won't have romantic feelings for them, because it just complicates things far more than you would want. Okay, now let's talk about how to avoid this situation entirely. And based on what I've already shared, you probably have an idea of how you can avoid this in the future. And that's just by being honest and authentic from the very beginning, right? That's how you avoid getting friend-zoned entirely. And if you do end up developing romantic feelings for a friend, it will allow you to then tell them sooner rather than later, so you don't allow it to build up and get kind of awkward and weird. So just be honest and authentic from the very beginning. I personally don't have any desire to be friends with a woman that I want more from, and I'll even tell her that. I'll say, hey, look, I want to spend time with you, I want to get to know you, and I don't really want this option of us just being friends. That's not something that appeals to me. So if she's just only looking for friendship, or if she doesn't view me in that way, that's okay. I walk away and I will go find other women who will be able to potentially see me in those ways. That's the way you want to do it, guys. You want to go for people who you don't have to bang your head against the wall to get the reciprocation you want from them. You want to go for people who care about you and are down for you just as much as you're down for them. Basically, you want to choose people who also choose you. So if you have feelings for someone and they don't reciprocate your feelings, that means they're not choosing you. So this is someone you should immediately tell yourself is not an option for you. The problem so many of us have is that we keep glomming onto people who don't want us. That's a problem. If someone doesn't want to choose you, that's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means for whatever reason, they may not be attracted to you. That's okay. I've encountered this a lot of times in my own life. I can tell you right now, there's still plenty of other women out there who do find me attractive and do want me. So all the women who didn't, it's okay. Yeah, it sucks that I wanted more from them, but they didn't want more from me. It happens. It's not the end of the world. There will be plenty of other people out there. So just pick yourself up and move on. And really, you shouldn't want to stay friends with someone they have more feelings for, because it just makes things so weird and complicated. Like, I've never enjoyed that as an adult. Truth be told, this hasn't happened to me much as an adult, because I do often choose that route of honesty and authenticity. So I don't get friend zoned because I let women know that I'm attracted to them and don't see them as a friend. So they can't really friend zone you in that situation. But if I were to find myself in that situation, it wouldn't be ideal. It wouldn't be something I would want. So just avoid it entirely. Don't let yourself get friend zoned by being honest and authentic from the very beginning, because then you're just being real with the other person, and they'll know that you find them attractive, and that's okay. It's nothing weird. Often you can't even get rejected for just letting someone know that you find them attractive, because you're just being honest, right? You're not saying, hey, like, will you go on a date with me? Then of course you can get rejected because you're asking a question that they can say no to. But if you just tell them, hey, I would love to get to know you better, because I feel like, I don't know, there's something here. Or maybe you could even just say, I find you really attractive, your mind is beautiful, I would love to get to know. Okay, maybe that's a bit too like airy-fairy, but you get my point. Do it in whatever way is honest and authentic for you. Just let the other person know that you're interested in them. And then if they don't reciprocate your feelings, as I already said earlier, just pick yourself up and move on, because they're someone who is not going to choose you. So don't spend any more time on them. It's just a waste of time and energy. But that's pretty much all I want to talk about in this video. I've noticed that this is something incredibly common. I've actually gotten a lot of comments and whatnot from people talking about the friend zone and what to do when they develop feelings for a friend. So hopefully this helps with that, because really, honesty and authenticity is how you defeat the friend zone. It's how you just never end up there ever again. And it will make you realize that all the times in your past where you ended up in that zone, you put yourself there, right? By not being honest and authentic with the other person. Because if you had been that way, they would have known that you had feelings for them, and you wouldn't have been friend zoned. You either would have not ended up with them being your friend, which is okay, because again, it goes back to wanting to choose people who choose you, which applies to friends as well. It's not just for romantic relationships. And if it did work out, then perfect, right? So yeah, honesty and authenticity really are the way to conduct yourself in life. I just found it's super important to work on yourself enough to a point where you can handle rejection, are comfortable with it, so that you can then have the courage to be honest and authentic in almost any given moment. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys. I need to stop filming before this storm gets closer, because oh boy, that looks ominous. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave your questions and comments on this topic down below, and I hope You're having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Arrivederci!